We got a lot to talk about.
We have so much to talk about, you guys.
I just took the LSAT, which is crazy.
We just put an offer on a house and they just got back to us. We might be moving and that might be the house we're moving to.
It was always something that I wanted to do, but I just never truly believed in myself until you broke up with me.
Yeah.
And he goes, you want to be a lawyer? And I was like, yeah. He goes, why?
If God has given you a dream, he will provide a way to do it. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to your favorite podcast. I'm just kidding, but I hope it is your favorite podcast. My name is Janine Amapola. If you are new, actually, I'm sorry, Janine Amapola Ward.
Come on, get it right.
I'm so sorry.
Get it right.
I'm still working on that. Janine Amapola Ward, and you are watching Happy and Healthy, a Christian podcast that drops every single Tuesday. And today is the first episode of season 6. So last week we did not upload. We took a week off, which isn't a lot.
It's the first week off that
I've ever done.
Monday night's not just scrambling last minute to get everything ready.
Yes.
People do not know how much work a podcast is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just you film, it's so much. It's so much.
There's a lot that goes
show.
in. So I needed just minimum a week off. And as you guys can see, the podcast has been rebranded. We have a new cover art. I'm just really loving the direction. So you guys will see some really fun changes coming this season. I have pre-filmed so many awesome guests. So just stay tuned. I think it's going to be a really, really good season. And we wanted to kick off season 6 with just us. We are the hosts of this podcast. Kaleb, are you an official co-host?
It's up to you.
I think you are. I know I'm on the cover art, but you're my co-host.
Happy and Healthy with Kaleb.
Yeah.
But no, this is your podcast. This will always be your podcast. But, it's you and I, when we pod together, it's just different. The
better.
podcast is different. But I love it. You should never stop your solo because I feel like you add this self-help aspect to the podcast where I like to,
spice things up.
Let's shoot the sheesh, This can be a big podcast. We got a lot to talk about.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So we always hear about the red flags in relationships, things to avoid, warning signs to run from. You guys know the deal. But what about green flags? The signs that someone is kind and respectful and a great match. A big green flag, someone who listens and supports you, not just when things are easy, but when life gets tough. Another one, healthy communication. Who does not want that? Where you feel safe expressing your thoughts without fear of judgment. And let's not forget mutual effort, because the right people show up consistently. If you're not sure what your green flags are, therapy can help. It's a great way to learn how to set boundaries, recognize healthy behaviors, and even embody the green flag energy yourself. BetterHelp makes it easy with flexible online therapy. They've helped over 5 million people connect with a licensed therapist, and you can switch at any time at no extra cost. So discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/happyhealthy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/happyhealthy. We have so much to talk about, you guys, and we just want to catch up with you guys because really we not that we haven't been honest, but there's just been a lot of things that we couldn't really talk about until today. So we want to just kind of catch up with you guys. We want to share what the heck's been going on. I am officially 25 weeks pregnant, which is crazy. And let's just shoot the shishi, babe. What's been going on?
Well, I just took the LSAT, which is crazy. There's just so much over the last 2 years that also it feels like I have a lisp because I'm
hearing it more.
I haven't wore my retainer in a couple weeks, and I feel like my teeth are shifting. So forgive me if I have a lisp. But anyway, there is a lot to my life and our future plans that we just have not invited anybody on. And out of protection for our marriage, out of the protection for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just fun. I feel like finally we're at a place where we're kind of ready to talk about what the heck, are we doing?
Yeah.
But I think I want to go back to when we first started dating.
Yeah.
And share some of these stories.
Yeah, let's rewind. So Kaleb and I met 2022. You were literally 23 years old.
I was a child.
I was 28. It was, what a time to be alive. That was a different season of my life. And I
Uh-huh.
didn't know that girl, and I'm kinda glad.
Yeah, same.
So we met. Yeah. We met, and you were working in recruiting at the
Um,
time?
yeah, I was in sales. I was more of an account manager, so I worked in sales
Yeah.
for over 6 years. I did a couple different things, but I was in hotel sales for a while, and then I moved
Oh, yeah, you were
over.
working for Hilton at this time.
Yeah, so I had my own career. I was doing really well for a 23-year-old. But I always had a bigger dream, a bigger vision for my life. But at the time, I didn't have a college degree. And so the idea of going to a law school just didn't seem even possible.
But you always knew that you wanted to be a lawyer, but you didn't know how you were gonna get there,
A, I didn't
right?
think I was smart enough. I didn't think that I hated school growing up. The idea of studying for longer than an hour just would mentally handicap me.
Mhm.
My dad went to law school. My cousin went to law school. So it was always something that like I wanted to do, but I just never truly believed in myself until you broke up with me.
Yeah. So you have this background where your dad's an attorney, your brother, your not your brother, your cousin is still an attorney,
Yeah.
and I feel like
My
that
dad's
was
still an attorney
yeah,
too.
your dad's still an attorney,
Yeah.
and that's like in your family and in your blood. I feel like, and I remember when so obviously y'all like I met Caleb when he was younger, and I remember when I met you, I was kind of like, okay, so like, what do you want to do with your life? And you didn't exactly quite yet know, and that freaked me out. Even though you had said, "I think I wanna be an attorney," but I was like,
Well,
"Is that gonna happen?" You know?
I was so miserable in my current like corporate life that you were like, "What do you want to do for work?" And I was like, "Well, you know, I didn't plan on getting married. Like, I love you. I like this girl so much. But I was planning on quitting that job before we met. Eventually, I was going to quit and go back to school and go on this law school journey. Um, Even though it felt so far fetched to me at the time. And then so Janine breaks up with me.
Mhm.
So can I be honest with the story?
Yeah, you can share. Yeah.
Okay. So Janine and I, we were a few months into dating, and I think looking back, we're probably a little too like loose with our words
Yeah.
of like how we would say things too quickly. Um, so Janine tells me she loves me. It's on a Saturday. This is after Maddie's wedding. So I'm like meeting everybody. I'm meeting all her friends, and Maddie's wedding was huge. There was
Yeah.
400 people there. I haven't met like any of your community really yet, and bam, I'm at the wedding. And that rehearsal dinner night, you told me you loved me.
I remember.
And at the time, I told her, I was like, hey, don't say you love me until you know, like, you really, like, this is an end game for you. And so after you told me you loved me, I was like, okay, well, this is it, you know? And you broke up with me like 2 days later,
Yeah, y'all,
which,
can I just say I'm not condoning this, nor do I recommend this. I think that is a little unhealthy. And I'm such a big
no,
proponent of telling people like, "Hey, be careful with your words," because I was speaking out of my own experience of like that was not cool to do to you,
yeah.
you know?
But, I wasn't mad. I think you had things, the reason you broke up with me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
was, we were 4.5 years apart. I really couldn't give you, I think I was asking you like, hey, like I am younger. It's like I'm still working towards these things. And at the time, like that's a lot. So I understood why at the time.
Yeah.
3 months in, that's difficult to be able to trust someone. And I think we went so fast, so quickly that it was like everything hit you at once, and you were like, okay, I need to slow down.
Here's a classic situation that girls typically have to decide is do I want to marry someone who quote unquote has already the things I'm looking for, or do I want to grow with them and believe in them and do this journey with them? And I had to make that decision. Obviously, ultimately, I wanted to be with you over like
Yeah, but
he's already established, you know?
at the time, I law school wasn't like in the picture.
Yeah.
I was still going to work in my career. It was something that I floated, but I didn't at this time. I didn't even really have any college credits, so the idea of going back to school just like didn't even seem possible. And
Right.
so when you broke up with me, I think because you went so back and forth, I love you to I break up with you. I was like, whatever. Like,
Which can again, now let me explain that really
yeah,
fast. I've explained it this way so many times. My heart and my head were conflicting. It was like my heart was like, I'm obsessed with him. I love him. I want to be with him. I've never felt this way. But then my head was like, and it's stupid. It was like, oh, he hasn't gone to college. He doesn't know what he wants to do quite yet. And so I was like, what do I do? What would wisdom say? And so that's why I freaked out and I broke up with you because I was like, I think that he needs to maybe grow a little more. And I remember when I broke up with you, I was like, so what are you going to do now that we're broken up? And then
Yeah, but
you,
it was so funny. So after you were sitting there at the lake, Lake Overholster in Dallas.
no, it was White Rock, babe.
Oh, sorry, that's
Overholster is
Overholster.
Oklahoma.
That's a lake in Oklahoma. So we're at White Rock Lake
Yeah.
in Dallas, and she was like, "What are you gonna like after?" Because that was a big thing for you. You were like, "What?" And it used to make me so mad at the time because you were asking, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "I have a job. Like I'm in my career."
Yeah.
But because you do this, you work your work is your dream. But for most people, their work's not their dream. Their work's their work.
Hmm.
And I think you were so confused when you were with me. You're like, you hate what you do. But I was like, it's just work. But when you broke up with me, it's like a light bulb went off. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm still so young. I still can go do what I want to do. And I kind of thought at the time when we were together that I couldn't quit my job to go do this other new passion because I was like, I'm gonna have to provide and keep my job, and no girl wants to be with a guy who goes back to school, all these things. So when you broke up with me, it freed me. And I was like,
Hmm.
great, I'm gonna go do what I want to do now. And so you asked me, what are you gonna go do? I said, I'm gonna go to law school. And I think you kind of like were like,
Yeah, that was, when you said that, I was like, okay.
and so we parted ways. I enrolled into school that week. I was like, I'm going back.
Good on you.
And this is what happens if someone breaks up with you and says, "I don't want to be with you anymore." There's energy there, and there's hurt there, and there is this person doesn't want to be with me. This person doesn't believe in me. All these things, and instead of getting depressed or victim mentality, I was like, "Great, I'm going to use this hurt and turn this into something good. And I'm going to go work out and I'm going to get in the word and I'm going to go follow what I feel like the Lord is calling me to." So enroll into school. I do all these things. And a week later, you hit me up and you wanted to get back together. And I don't know, we kind of know you can go back to other podcasts and that's the
Yeah, we
whole,
have podcasts on the full story, I think.
yeah. And you asked me when we got back together, I told you, I said, listen, if we're going to get back together,
You better be
I
for real.
need you to know that I am going back to school. I'm gonna, keep my job, keep working, and I'm gonna go to law school. And you were like, okay. And so from then on, we're almost 3 years later since then. And I'm now a college graduate. I have taken the LSAT, and now we're waiting to see the score, and we're waiting to see eventually if I get accepted. And so it's just crazy where we are at now.
So
And
crazy.
also on top of that, before we got engaged, or sorry, right before we got married, I ended up quitting my job because with anyone who is trying to become an attorney or go to law school or study for the LSAT, it's a full-time job. And with getting married to you, you had so many things going on
I needed
and
help.
logistically, financially, and all these things, there was a component to your world and to your work that I've been able to come in and shoulder a lot of that work. So
Hmm.
we started working together. But you can go into now like,
Yeah, I think like also the reason why we kind of want to open up about this is because I have people ask me a ton about age gaps. And yeah, the reality is we have an age gap. My husband is 4.5 years younger than me. And I never thought I would marry someone 4.5 years younger than me, but I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad that I trusted the Lord. I trusted the Lord in you. And that's ultimately when I decided I was going to commit to Caleb. I was like, okay, you know what? His heart, his character, who he is. I knew you were ambitious. I knew you were driven. You had told me, I remember like, hey, whether it's with you or someone else, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to do something. And I think you were just looking for me to be like, can you just trust me and believe in me? And when I remember when we broke up, I like had moments just to reflect and I was like, I know he's not like this lazy sit around guy and I knew you loved the Lord, and that's what ultimately made me be like, I'm in.
Listen, guys, studying for the LSAT is intense. Long nights, endless logical reasoning, and a ton of reading comprehension. And I knew I had to stay sharp. So I started testing with Function Health to make sure my body and brain were in top shape. Function gives me access to over 100 plus lab tests that go way beyond just a regular checkup. It checks your hormones, your nutrients, your metabolism, and even your biological age. Yep, I can actually see how old my body really is. And if you didn't already know, taking care of your health is not a one size fits all. And Janine and I, especially during the season, during pregnancy and everything, in order for our bodies to perform at optimal levels, this has been so helpful to understand Janine's body and understand the functions to give us insight into each person's individual needs. Function helps you find out exactly what your body needs before it becomes a bigger issue. I think so many of us sometimes have gut instincts when something feels off, and sometimes it takes multiple doctor's visits to see what the actual root cause is. And Function saves the time, the money, and the frustration by testing for it all, so you can make educated decisions for your health. Function makes it easy, no guessing, just real data. Function currently has a waitlist, but they are offering happy and healthy listeners the chance to skip it. Head to functionhealth.com/happy or enter code HAPPY when signing up to skip the waitlist.
What they don't prepare you for is when you get pregnant is how you start caring so much more about what's in your home and how it could potentially affect your growing baby. And one of the easier ways I've started making healthier swaps has been the biggest game changer, and it's what I cook with. As a mom to be, I want to make sure that my kitchen is safe for me and my family. So saying goodbye to cookware with harmful forever chemicals like PFAS and Teflon was a no-brainer. And that is why I made the switch to Our Place. So if you don't know about Our Place, it's a mission-driven, female-founded brand creating PFAS-free, beautifully designed cookware and appliances. You've probably seen their Always Pan and the Dream Cooker, an all-in-one multi-cooker that makes cooking so much easier. And since upgrading my kitchen, I've noticed how much more I enjoy cooking. Everything is non-toxic, functional, and so gorgeous, and it doubles as decor. Plus, I love that I don't need a million different gadgets cluttering my cabinets. So if you're ready to make the switch, Our Place has everything from air fryers to pressure cookers in stunning colors to match any style. Shop now at FromOurPlace.com and use code HEALTHY for 10% off site-wide. With a 100-day trial and free shipping and free returns, there is no reason not to try it.
In your defense, it's hard. You're 28 at the time. You're probably going on dates with guys who are 33 or 34, guys who are older, where they got 10 years on me, and they might have a home or they might be doing these things. And I think that was a place where I became kind of insecure when I was with you in the beginning. And my friend, this is why having a community is so important. My friends shook me and were like, bro, you're 23. Like, you're not supposed to have a lot of this stuff figured out. And it's not like I was broke or these things, but in your, dating older, I understood where you were coming from.
Typically, like, a girl dates older because she wants someone who's quote unquote more established, but I was okay to do that. And I'm so freaking glad I did. So yeah, part of the reason why we wanted to finally open up about this, because now we can, because now Caleb's taken the LSAT. But mainly because I've just seen comments or maybe there's a misunderstanding or misconception of what Caleb is doing. And we do work together. And I think a lot of the times you're seeing my face on Instagram, or you're just thinking oh, Caleb's an Instagram husband and what does he really do? And let me gas this man up. He got a degree and he took his LSAT, which the prepping for that was insane.
Yeah, it was
I
tough.
mean, I wouldn't see him for hours almost every single day. And so I remember someone actually straight up DM me. They're like, how come we never see Caleb in your stories anymore? And I'm like, he's at a coffee shop studying for the LSAT for hours and hours and hours. And the gym. Oh, and training for marathon. He's sickling to me, tell him what I'm doing.
I ran a marathon too.
Yeah, which he has another half marathon coming up, which you need to be training for that, mister. It's coming up. So we wanted to finally open up about this because we can, that Caleb was prepping for law school. This was what he was doing. This was a passion and a goal. He was getting his degree, which I'm so proud of you for. And also, you guys would not believe how much this man has come into my life and blessed my business, my podcast, my life. I mean, I could not have chosen a better partner for myself because the Lord chose you for me. And so I just want to say I'm so proud of you
Thank you.
because there's so many things that Caleb did behind the scenes that he never got credit for that I think people could just been like, oh, your husband's just riding on your coattail or whatever. That's not true.
Yeah.
You really were doing so many things that I could not do at all. So proud
Yeah.
of you.
I get DMs. People, I get random DMs where random people comment on my Instagram or something. Go, man, you mooch off your wife, or you, and it's just like it's tough because people don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They don't know.
How many ideas you've come up with that like had nothing to do with me also and
Not even that, but just like every couple has their own story. And I was back in school, and it's tough when you see these things and because I have so many friends who've gone back to get their masters, and their wife and they work together, and that's like a very normal thing. And I just think that that was a tough thing. And I also didn't want to talk. People would say that.
yeah.
And at the time, though, I was like, you know what? I'm going to let people say that because I didn't want to talk about, because what if I didn't graduate on time, or I didn't get the good LSAT score or whatever? I didn't want to talk about it either because so much could have gone wrong, and I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself to do everything. And so it feels good to finally like be like, I don't care anymore. Like, I took the LSAT. Now it's go time. And
Let me just say something. That takes that takes so much thick skin because like if someone says something about you, everything in your flesh or you're a human being, you want to like defend yourself. You want to be like, "No, look what I am doing. I am like that." It would be so hard
maybe want to curl up in a
to
ball.
not be like, "No, I am doing something," because people don't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get why people would assume things. If they don't see it, they're gonna be like, "Well, how are we supposed to know?" But to still work in silence is so respectable and very hard to do.
I also want my life to have meaning. And I'm not saying it doesn't have meaning if you're just a content creator, but I think as your husband, I looked at my life and I was like, I don't want to just be an Instagram husband. I don't want to just, it's like, I saw a TikTok on this recently, and they were talking about how creators will be in their real life and they'll start posting content, and they get super famous. And then they end up quitting the thing that made them famous.
Mhm.
Or that their life became unrelatable.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to do real life. I don't want to just make funny videos and talk on a podcast without doing anything. Like, God has given us so much, you and me, both so much purpose and so much skills and talents. It's like, I want to do something with that.
Mhm.
And I think it'd be easy for someone just to go, oh, just make content. And that's not any shade on anybody, but like, as your husband, it sounded like a very depressing life just to wake up every single day going, okay, what content do I need to make for
Yeah.
my wife? And we can still work together, but
And we will. We
yeah.
still will work together, but I think too what's different is that
Hang on. We just got word.
what?
Should we say?
What is it? Did he accept?
I think so.
What is it?
Should we tell him? Let's see.
Wait, y'all, we have some massive news right now.
So we just put an offer on a house.
Okay, y'all, so we're getting caught up here. I was gonna say, wait, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
We might be moving, and that might be the house we're moving to, which we'll get to eventually. That's crazy. Today's been a big day.
It's been a big day. LSAT's offer on a house.
Uh-huh. Season 6.
Yeah. It's insane.
God,
And
it's been so good.
we're not going to say where yet. I know
Yeah.
you guys are probably dying to know. Comment
I know.
here what we should do. And also,
Comment below.
I need to say something because we almost forgot this.
Yeah.
When we did guess the gender thing, when we had the podcast about the baby, we said we're going to pick one comment who guesses the right gender, and we're going to give them something. We never did that. We never end up picking.
You're right.
So we're going to go and pick
Guys, I'm
somebody
so
from
sorry.
that podcast. We're going to send them something. So y'all right now, guess where we're moving to. Whoever gets it right, we'll send you some merch, and we'll make it fun.
And a book as well.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, we'll keep you guys posted on this.
But you need to go sign that.
I know. Right now?
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about something really fast.
They're about to sail out. The realtor is on a cruise, so she needs that
Ow.
acceptance. She's about to lose service.
Okay, but I need to.
So live right now, we are about
Are
to
they emailing it?
officially put an offer on a house, and I think it's about
Okay.
to get
Okay,
accepted
I need to sign this. Yo, this is crazy happening on the podcast.
live.
What do I do? So I sign this required. Okay.
This is backstory. I mean, 3 days ago,
I signed it.
let's go. How does that feel?
It feels crazy. This is crazy. Life is about to change. Y'all are about to see a lot of changes in
It's
this
gonna be
year.
fun. I feel like because for over a year, we've just kind of like gone off the like not talking about a lot of these
Yeah, we
things
couldn't
going
talk
on.
about a lot of this
But it's
stuff.
so fun because we've woken up and like thought about like, okay, what do we create or what do we do? But now it's like we have real life stuff happening where I
We might
can't
be
wait to show that
moving.
experience, you know?
Well, we're gonna have a baby.
We're
You're gonna go to law school.
well, maybe I haven't got accepted
Maybe
yet.
go to law school, and we might be moving. Okay, well, we'll talk more about that down the road. Stay tuned. I wanted to go back really fast because what I was trying to say is when it came to social media, you kind of stepped into my world, and this was something I was really passionate about. I was passionate about the podcast, self help topics. I love these topics that benefit you guys, and writing and speaking, and like women's ministry, which I still have so many dreams within women's ministry for conferences and retreats. And so you stepped into this, and I needed help. I mean, I was getting taken advantage of in multiple areas. I realized that I hate confrontation. I'm a pushover like no other. And like Caleb came in and literally audited my entire life and was like, "What are you doing? This has got to go. That's got to go. That's got to go. That's got to go." Like I didn't realize how much of a pushover I was. And I almost felt like I was carrying this like baggage on my back, and I didn't know how to get rid of it. And this is how I explain it. And this is what the beautiful thing about marriage is. This is always my explanation. It was like before we got married, I had a junk drawer, and you ripped that drawer open, and it was just stuff everywhere, and you're like, "What's this? Why do you still have this?" And I was like, "I don't well, I gotta go." And you flew it out the drawer. And then you like got another thing, and you weren't doing this in a mean way. You were doing this because you saw so many things taking advantage of me, or things that weren't benefiting me, or things that I was holding on to, that you were like, "Babe, this is not good." And so you were just ripping everything out of the drawer. And now I feel like I can see the drawer, and I'm like, like it's all making sense now, you know?
Well, that's why marriage is so great. We both have strengths, we both have weaknesses. Like we would have something wrong with our house and they would go, "This is gonna cost $20,000 to fix." And I would go, "We're gonna pay you
Yeah,
3,000."
Caleb's like, not on my watch.
And before I think you would have probably just said yes.
I would
And
have negotiated, but I'm not a good negotiator
yeah,
like that. Like, I would have been like, I'm gonna get a second quote, you know?
I'd get 20 quotes until like that was my job before was negotiating was sales was confrontation. And so I think I was able to go into your world and go, "You're fired," and "You're done." And so I think that is kind of it's been cool. It's been fun, but it's come with a lot of different things. And to be honest with you, like we're not like a lot of these couples out here that every part of their life is micro analyzed and all these things. But I think when you're on social media, you don't provide clarity to people just assume. And I don't blame someone
Mm-hmm.
for assuming XYZ about me. We just have to be strong in who we are because people are going to assume stuff. Eventually, when I go to law school, people are going to start saying stuff about, well, it's actually not that good of a law school. Or they're going to go, well, he didn't, da 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 da.
Right.
And so people are always going to say something in your life, your job, the school you went to, what you look like. Like people are always going to make
They're always
comments.
gonna talk.
You're not going to be able to please them to a certain extent, but it is going to be so fun to just. But I can't wait to help people.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I can't wait to actually do something in my life that can actually provide a service and value to people.
And what's so cool about this is like one of the reasons why we thought this would be a good fit, like regardless, even if it wasn't a good fit for my job either, I would have supported Caleb. But it can fit so organically already in our life. And like you want to help people that I know, You want to help so many people. Like, there's no downside of having a law degree. Like, that's so beneficial. But especially with what I do, that's going to be so helpful. And I also feel like you're already my lawyer. Like, I see Kaleb defend me and like speak for me and help me in so many ways that I don't know how to do that. Like, I realize like I don't really know how to stand up for myself sometimes. And Kaleb would stand up for me and I'd be like, that's my lawyer. Like, it's just in you, babe. And you're like a 7-8 Enneagram, I'm pretty sure. You're a challenger
I'm ready to fight.
and
Yeah.
you're ready to go. And there's been times where I've been like, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. But then there's times where I'm like, you go, big, you get, you know? I'm
Yeah.
so proud of you.
Thank you. I mean, like no one also sees how much you've shown up for me, how when I took the LSAT, you're going to get me snacks and you're praying for me over me every night, every single night. Janine's like, let's pray for that score. Let's pray for your school. Let's pray for all these things. And you supported me so much and you believed in me even when a lot of, people didn't.
Yeah.
And you trusted me. I told you before we got married, I said, just trust me. I'll lead us. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to ask you to maybe sacrifice some things, like maybe,
Not traveling as much.
not traveling as much, but, just doing things that, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Yeah.
But you've been such a good supporter, and I would not have been able to do any of this without you. Now we have a son coming into the picture. You're already the best mom.
Thanks, baby.
It's crazy. You have literally, and this isn't like, Janine's just built different. She's out here working out every day and she's doing things that I'm like, I thought pregnancy, you weren't supposed to do that. And maybe you just got lucky with your symptoms.
I don't know.
Like this woman is just, she's special.
I haven't gotten to third trimester yet, so
Yeah.
things could change. I don't want to like almost speak too much on that. But yeah, and they say actually statistically couples that work together, not that has to be how it is, but they say like couples who work together and do a business together or even just like build a dream together are more likely to be successful. And I have 100% seen that. I realize that even within my social media, I am such a dreamer. I have all these dreams, these goals, I've a bucket list of things. And so far, I've done most of them because I've had help. But there's been certain things that I was just like, how am I going to do this? And for example, like I really want to do a live podcast event and we're actually working on that. We're still trying to figure that out if we can do that before the baby comes. But there's been so many things where I'm like, babe, I don't know how to do this. And you're like, okay, let's do it. And then we do it together and they crush. And I'm like, there's no way I could have done that without Kaleb. I'm not saying like no way. But when you and I like ideate together and we sit down and we put our minds to it and we pray about it, like God truly blesses it and makes it fall into place. And so I can be like a dreamer and you're like, let's go, like, let's execute it. And I can be executor in different ways, but I found that us working together has not necessarily financially made us more successful, even though it has helped in that. But just overall, like our lives are so much better. And that's really why like who you marry is so, so important.
Are you ready for me to be gone 9 to 5 Monday through Friday? Because I've been home.
Yeah.
Now the baby's coming. I'm going to be gone. Like,
yeah,
your boy's going to be busy for 3 years.
Yeah, that's something that, we've talked about a lot. And I would be lying if I said I'm not a little scared. I am a little scared because, I'll be doing still my job. I'll be raising a son for the first time. I don't know how to be a mom quite yet. And then you'll possibly be in law school, what, like 9 to 5, 8 to 5?
It's really a 8 to 8, 8 to 9.
Stop. No,
yeah,
don't say
because
that.
your first class is usually 8 or 9 a.m. You're done around 5, but you're reading all night.
Yeah.
Because each class you probably have 20 pages a night to read.
Yeah.
And you have 5 classes. So usually you have about 100 pages to go over. Because with your classes, maybe you don't have 5 classes a day. Maybe you have 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah, I don't know how this all works.
Usually you would have about, 40 to 60 pages a night to read. And then you have to be able to be ready because your professor can call on you. Every class, your professor is going to ask you about your case studies that you've been briefing and that you've been looking at.
Wow.
So every class, you have to be prepared to give an answer.
Yeah.
And if you get called on and you're not ready and they know you didn't do your reading, you look like an idiot. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be a grind. I'm excited though. I'm excited to take my son to, study with me, to take him to law school
If
one
that
day.
works, I don't know.
No, it's just like it's gonna be so awesome just to have my son here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just like I can't wait.
And your dad went to school when you were,
My dad went to law school when I was 4 years old. So it's
yeah,
just like it's kind of cool. It's like
it
I'm
is
doing
cool.
what my dad did. And my mom
Yeah.
had 4 kids.
That's
And he
amazing.
had a full-time job, so he did night school.
Your dad is evidence that like you can do it.
Yeah.
Anybody can do this. So no, yeah, am I scared a little bit? Will it be a learning curve? 100%. I don't know how this is gonna go, but we will have a community around us. We'll have people around us. Like it's gonna have low moments, but like we're gonna figure this out. We're a team, and
I wonder what
yeah,
I wonder what people think where we're going.
I feel like they're gonna know.
Talk about this house.
It's so beautiful.
Talk about it.
I mean, I don't want to give it away too much because what if we don't get it?
That's true.
Because right now he hasn't officially accepted.
A-
I
And
don't know.
yeah,
That's so crazy.
but if we do get it, how do you feel?
I feel so excited. I feel like this is a house that we can host at. It's a dream beautiful house. It's just something I never ever ever in my life thought I would ever get, and I think it's going to be so great to bring our son home to that house.
Well, Janine also yeah, you bought this other house at the right time
Mhm.
and so yeah, it's
We
crazy.
saw 20 plus houses, and this was the first house I walked in and I was like,
Well,
I feel peace. I feel excited about this one.
and we were like, let's get a house that is maybe, you know, a little bigger where we can raise a family in.
Host our families because we
Host
both have big families.
Yeah, host people over. And I do think, and I want to find something that's a good investment where if we did, after law school's over, who knows where we're going to go? We might
Right.
move again, but at least for these next 3 to 5 years, this will be a home base.
Babe, what would you say now to somebody that might be in the same position as you? Like, they're deciding, okay, do I pursue this dream? Do I not? It'll be 5 more years of school. I want to do it. I'm scared of what people think. I could just work and I could just make money, or I could go back and be in a little bit of debt and go after what God's called me to do.
Yeah. My advice would just immediately be, okay, what if you died tomorrow? Like if you die tomorrow, none of this matters. Like either you're going to heaven or you're not. And you get one life.
Mm-hmm.
One life. This self-preservation. Well, if I do this, then XYZ is going to happen. It's like, well, you're also going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're living your life um towards a routine and a structure where you're just protected and you don't take any risk, like the most successful people took risk. And so, I mean, I give you an example. One of my really good friends was probably making close to 200,000 a year, crushing it in his upper 20s. 200,000 a year for a 29-year-old?
Pretty good.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
like, what is that? 10K a month is 120. You're making about 17,000 a month, I believe is like 200,000.
You sure?
Yeah, look it up.
Let me see. I'm like, are you sure about that?
200,000 divided by 12.
Hold on.
That's actually 18,000.
16.666.
Yeah, 16.6 thousand. And that's a 29-year-old. And you know what? He was miserable. He hated his job. And so he had a dream of always wanting to like do consulting and do different things. And so he quits his job. He's at like a very high level at this where he worked. He quits his job, goes into a different sphere, consulting, and gets into this big school. But he had to quit to where he went from making all this money to $0. And so now he's about to wrap up school. And it's going to take him 2 years, but now he already has an opportunity where that number is going to basically double over the next couple of years. But those 2 years, he had to take a risk. He had to take a chance. And it's not always economically. It's not always, maybe your dream is to go to ministry or it's go to be a therapist and you're making a ton of money and it's actually going to be a cost to you financially. You can't put a price tag on fulfillment. You can't put a price tag on waking up and feeling purpose. If you wake up every single day and you go into your cubicle, you're in the elevator and you press that, you press that button to go up the elevator and then you leave and you clock in, you clock out, and you're driving home and you're in traffic and you just feel like your life is purposeless, then I would evaluate, look at your resume, look
Mhm.
at these things that you can change and make that step. But don't sit here and complain if you don't want to take it within your own hands. Go on ChatGPT, fix your resume, apply to 100 different jobs, or move back in with your parents and go to school, or find you can do it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. Nothing, it's like you won't, if it's a priority, it's like a relationship. If it's a priority to you, you will take that step. But if you're doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, that's the definition of crazy. But I'll say this, and I'll wrap this up, this long monologue. There's a lot of people that don't like what they do.
Yeah.
And it is a 21st century like idea that you can love what you do and make money. And not everybody can do that. You love your job, but you also have to pay your taxes. You also
Yeah.
have to run the finances. And it's not this glamorous thing all the time. And there's probably moments you want to quit. So every job is going to have its adversity. That's normal. But you also might be a year away from, picking up crap to eventually you've worked at a company for long enough to where finally you're getting to do what you love to do within that company. But our generation, we want quick fulfillment. We expect to be 21, 25 years old already running the company. It's like, no, most people, until they're in their 40s, they don't start getting to do what they want. And so sometimes it takes time to work over a long period of time to see
Yeah.
what you want to see.
Guys, just because we are in February doesn't mean that we still can't work on our New Year's resolutions and hit those goals and those habits. And for me, that looks like still taking care of my health regardless of what month it is and showing up as my best self, especially as an expecting mom. Between sleepless nights and endless to-do lists, I need all the support I can get. And that's exactly why I started taking Fatty 15. After learning about C15, I was shocked that this essential fatty acid has been missing from my diet. Unlike omega-3, C15 works at the cellular level to strengthen cells, boost metabolism, and support heart health. Since adding Fatty 15 to my routine, I've noticed a difference. I feel more energized, my focus has improved, and I just feel better overall. Who doesn't want that? Another thing I love, Fatty 15 is completely clean and sustainable. No unnecessary additives, just pure C15 in a refillable, gorgeous, eco-friendly packaging. It's a simple, impactful change that I know is going to help me in the long run. If you're ready to give your body the love it deserves, head to fatty15.com/healthy and use code healthy for 15% off your 90-day starter kit. That's fatty15.com/healthy and use code healthy. Your future self will thank you. February is all about love, showing it, sharing it, and letting the people in our lives know that they matter. But what if this month we extended that love even further? Think about how easy it is for us to get a Bible. If you wanted to, you could get one right now. You could order it on your phone. You could have it at your doorstep by tonight. And some of us even have multiple Bibles, different translations, study editions, maybe even us have one with a heartfelt note from a loved one inside of it. But now imagine never having even the chance to own a Bible. And that is the reality for millions of people around the world. They found Jesus, they're hungry to know him, but they don't have access to his word in their own language. This month, as we celebrate love, it's the greatest gift of all, the love of God through his word. For just $24 a month, about the price of flowers and chocolates, you can place Bibles directly into the hands of 3 people every single month. That's 3 lives forever changed. And to say thank you, Crew will not only provide 12 meals to hungry individuals through their aid ministry, but also send you a copy of my new book, Becoming Happy and Healthy. This is amazing. So what you need to do is make this February more than just about hearts and roses. Let's make it about changing lives. Text HAPPY to 71326. That's HAPPY to 71326, or visit give.crew.org/happy. For the cost of something we wouldn't think twice about, we can share God's love in the most powerful way by giving his word. Message and data rates may apply, available to U.S. addresses only. And I think life is so short to be stuck in a lackluster, unfulfilled life. And I think what Kaleb is saying too, like, you're not always instantly going to find purpose. You're not always instantly going to be like, I know what I want to do with my life. It does take sometimes those crappy jobs, picking up crap, doing the crappy things to get where you want to go. I mean, I literally made a TikTok the other day and I said, here's like 12 jobs I did before I was a content creator. Those were not always glamorous. Like those were not super fun sometimes. But sometimes I was like, I got to pay my bills. I've got to do something. And so
I
sometimes
got
it's better to do
this.
something than do nothing, you know?
Yeah.
I think something too within this topic of just like fulfillment and purpose. I was reading Exodus 3 this morning. It's about Moses and how God called Moses to set the captives free from Egypt, set the Israelites free from Egypt. And he's like, hey, I'm calling you to go to Egypt. And Moses goes to God and he's like, who am I? Like, who am I that I would be used? Don't send me. I can't speak. I stutter too much. Don't pick me, please, Lord, if there's someone else. And God looks at Moses and he's like, I've chosen you. And he says to him, literally, I love that God was kind of like snappy. He's like, who's the creator of the mouth? Like, did I not make your mouth? Can I not give you the ability to speak? Can I not give you the words to speak? And I'm sure Moses was just like, oh, because like the Lord humbled him so fast. And so that might be you where you're like, who am I? Like, I could never do that. Or only she can get that. Or what? I'm not qualified or I don't have the skills. Work till you get the skills. Like, it's never too late to go back to school. It's never too late to get the degree. Like, I still think about going to seminary all the time. And you could have this like limited mindset belief or I'm running out of time. No, absolutely. You cannot live life that way. That's how you're going to stagnate your dreams. You're going to prevent yourself from doing the things that you want to do because you're restricting yourself, or maybe others are restricting you. But if God is for you, who can be against you? Period. Like if God has given you a dream, he will provide a way to do it. And so by Moses relying not just on himself, he relied on God. He was able to fulfill what God had called him to do because he did not put the strength in himself. And honestly, I love that Moses was even humble and was like, who am I? Like he wasn't like, yeah, God, why haven't you picked me? I'm cool. Like, look at all these other bozos. You don't pick them, pick me. He was almost so humble to be like, don't pick me. And even John the Baptist, he says, I must decrease and he must increase. The more that we decrease and we say, God, this is only by your strength, the more we're able to be fulfilled and joyful and called and equipped to do the things that God has for us. And that's what I rely on. And that's my encouragement for you guys is it's never too late. You trust in the Lord. If it's a God-given dream, he will provide a way.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's why your relationship with God, because you're going to have moments where you don't want to get on the plow, you don't want to work anymore, and you reap what you sow. Because there wasn't results overnight. I didn't get to the place that I'm at just overnight. There's a lot of in the room, in the prayer room, no one's looking and doing something without having to have others look at you. But over time, those things will pay off. And in your life, it's gonna, I'm sure when I get into law school, I'm like, why the heck did I do this?
You're going to
You
have hard
know?
moments,
Yeah.
but you've done it. And so you're going to be like, the work was worth it. And I'm going to complete this because I've already started this, you know?
Also, no one's good at something when you first start it.
Absolutely
No
not.
one's naturally my first practice test that I did was horrible.
Yeah.
And I just did another practice test and it was a 16-point difference.
Hmm.
And I was the guy who, in high school did the bare minimum and never was a naturally smart guy. And it's the first thing in my life that I put my head down and actually have done. And until you do that, if you're a person you've cheated your way into life or whatever, so you don't really respect yourself, guess what? The next day you can start respecting yourself. The next day you don't have to be the guy who quits things anymore. You don't have to be
Hmm.
the girl who gives up on her dreams. You don't have to be the insecure person. You don't have to, you can, that doesn't have to be your identity. And the enemy will often use what you think your identity is as far as your history of how you've lived your life. And that's become your identity because you've always quit things. Guess what? You can wake up the next day and that doesn't have to be you anymore.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan said that in a podcast while I was running my my first half marathon. And I was running and I was only halfway done with my college degree. And he goes, you don't have, because internally I thought I would quit, eventually would quit. And as I was running, I was like on a runner's high. And it was like, you don't have to quit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe Joe Rogan's not the best, messenger for that. But like that spoke to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do that. I
Yeah.
can finish.
And I think too, jumping back to really fast, something that I remembered Caleb said earlier is social media. Like, gotta love it. I love it. It's a huge part of my job, but it is this instant gratification. And it's like we're pushing our timelines so back of like when to be successful, when to make $1 million, when to get this massive brand deal because we're seeing an unrealistic expectation. And if you're in the space, it's not unrealistic. Like it's not unrealistic to say, oh, I want a brand deal with, CoverGirl, whatever. But if you're an outsider and you're maybe a nurse or a teacher or whatever, and you're seeing 18-year-olds making $1 million and they're on covers of magazines and they're traveling the world, that's not a good fair comparison because this person is getting things so quick. Social media moves so fast. It's not a good measuring
Also
stick
not
for you.
happy. A lot of these people you're comparing yourself
Yeah,
to,
they might be, but it won't last very long.
I would say most of them aren't.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a hamster wheel. So I just want you to remember, like, who are you comparing yourself to? And knowing that social media isn't helping this because everything is so expedited and the timelines are shifting earlier, which is cool. Like I'm thankful that we're in a time where it's like, wow, you can be young and make more money and you can start saving and whatever. Like it's really cool, but also there's a lot of cons. And so I think we're all thinking, okay, well, why can't I get that at 20 years old? Why can't I get that at 21 years old? It's just not realistic for the average human being or the normal person that doesn't do social media. So I would say like look more to people that are around you or people that are maybe in your same stratosphere to where you can look at them for inspiration. Not that you can't use these people as inspiration, but just remembering that like it's not always the most accurate representation or comparison because social media is just a different space and you're seeing people get these immediate things all the time. And in the real world, things take so much longer, so much slower. It's not that fast. I mean, I was even seeing TikToks of people be like, I will never be able to buy a house. Like, I can't buy a house without a parent. I can't buy my dream house. And we're seeing celebrities or whoever like buy these multi-million-dollar mansions. And that's just not realistic, you know?
I know this guy who he got an 18 on the ACT. An 18. Which by the
Out
world,
of 36.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which an 18 is not the greatest ACT score. It's not horrible. It could get you into college. But he had people telling him that's not a good enough score to where you're not going to succeed in college. And he ends up going to college. He gets an accounting degree. He becomes one of the like most involved guys in the college. He's crushing it. Has like an amazing GPA. He's like honors all these things. He ends up going to law school. He gets a really kind of below average LSAT score. He didn't get that good of an LSAT score, and people told him, you can't go to law school. What are you talking about? Your LSAT score is not good.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to succeed as a lawyer, and you're just wasting your time." Well, he goes to law school, graduates almost top in his class. He's now a managing partner at a law firm, and he's making more money than most lawyers are. And he is the same guy who had the bad ACT score, had the bad LSAT score. Constantly people said, what are you doing? You're not smart enough. And so that's a lot of people's stories with a lot of things that they're doing. And so don't let people. Today, I was at the gym and this guy who I've seen occasionally, I'm talking to him and he was like, "How's your day?" And I was like, "Great. I it took the LSAT." He's like, "Took the LSAT." He goes, "You want to be a lawyer?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Why? Why do you want to do that? That's a waste of
Really?
time." Yeah. And he's this old big guy. And I just was like, cool.
Yeah, why not?
There are so many people in your life that are going to say, "Why are you doing that? Don't do that." And you can't listen to those people. People are going to keep you. There are gatekeepers everywhere. If you're a nurse and you want to become a nurse, I'm sure there's been nurses in your life that have said, "You don't want to be a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
It's too hard." Or maybe you want to be a doctor. You have doctors telling you, "Oh, unless you go to that med school, you can't actually get into med school."
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Or you have people, you want to do social media, or you want to be a teacher, you want to do these things. People go, "Oh, is it? Don't waste your time." There's these gatekeepers who don't want you to enter because it makes them feel better about themselves. Because if you can do it, it says less about them. And that's the wrong mindset. And so if people are discouraging you from reaching your full potential in your dreams and your friends or whatever, you got to silence those people out.
Mhm.
Because I had so many people. I was in sales before I went back to get my degree. Had so many people going, "Why are you going back to school? Don't do that." And I just was like, "You don't know what God's called me to." And so that's the last thing I'll say is
Yeah.
I don't think it's self-doubt keeping people from truly reaching their full potential. I think it's other people.
It's both, I
Yeah.
think. I think it's comparison, and I think it's also an unbelief in themselves that they don't feel qualified or they can't do it or they're like, "Oh, should I really do this?" And yeah, you pray. I have a whole chapter on decision making, and I also I talked about this in my book because there's so many people that weren't successful until they were 40. People that didn't go to college, people that dropped out of college, people that everyone doubted, and now they're owners of these massive CEO companies. Like they're the CEO of these companies that you're using every single day. And so if you have a dream, go after it. And I think that is our final point.
Yeah. Well, when we leave, we will know if that offer was accepted or not.
Yeah, because he has until 5 p.m.
Yeah.
and it is 3:32. So we have an hour and a half
This
until
is
we
so
know.
fun. Like,
This is crazy.
moving into your house, it felt like home, but not quite.
I tried
And
to make it feel homey for you, but it was always still like my
it
space.
was too
It also still
girly.
had hints of Maddie in there because
Yeah.
Maddie lived with me,
Well, you'd be like, "Hey, we get that out of a Maddie's room," and I'm like, "Maddie's room? It's my house."
I would still call it
No.
Maddie's room. I didn't, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, podcast room."
No, that was always your house. You bought that house. I never felt like even though I helped with other things, like contributed to that, and that was like a hard thing because I wanted, and I'm pumped about that with the next house because I've actually like,
You put some blood and sweat and tears into
yeah,
this.
this isn't just like what it's both of our money now, but like I, have helped in the purchase now.
No, yeah, we're excited, y'all. There's a lot of changes that are coming up. I mean, first of all, being a parent is a huge life change. And then moving and then school. And like, I'm also currently writing a book right now. So trying to finish that up.
You think how soon will our son come on the pod? Because like
I don't
a
know.
month out, like how
We're trying to figure that out.
we need to hold him and bring him in the pod.
Well, eventually we'll have a podcast on like the birthing story and he'll be in there and we'll obviously share his name and all that stuff. But we're trying to figure out like what does a maternity leave look like? Like it's so untraditional because in a normal job you leave for 6 weeks and it's like bye.
It's more than that.
6 weeks minimum typically.
I know, but usually it's more than 6 weeks.
I don't know. I
feel
thought
like
6
it's-
weeks was standard.
I feel like it's
3 months?
2 months, something like that.
I don't know. Yeah. But in this, it's like, so we're figuring that out. But all that to say, we are so, so excited. I just want to say thank you guys for an amazing season 5. And we have been working relentlessly to get some awesome guests. We already have like 5 guests.
Hey, next week?
Pre-filmed. Yeah, we have an awesome guest coming next week. Who do we have, babe?
John
Deloney.
Dave Ramsey, he Solutions works for their network.
Yeah, he was an awesome guest. So he'll be next week. And we have plenty more coming. As always, we want to know what you guys want to hear. So comment down below along with where you think we're moving. And let me know what you guys think about the cover art. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Also, we're in the works. We got to confirm a couple things.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like we're going to have a live podcast.
This is so preliminary. I don't know.
It looks like it's going to be the 1st of April in Dallas.
April 5th, I think.
And so mark your calendars for that.
Save it for now. We're trying to make this
We're trying
happen.
to plan this.
But I think we could do it.
I think we could too.
We want to do this before the baby comes. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on Happy and Healthy. We will see you again next Tuesday for another episode. But until then, stay happy and healthy. Bye, guys.
See you guys.